one of the minor bad guy characters, you know, of the dozen of enemy fighters, spots Rambo and kind of sneaks up behind him to try and take him out. Rambo's out of arrows at this point. The guy grabs Rambo. Rambo takes his bow and kind of like puts it around the guy's neck and kind of strangles him with the cord of it a bit, and does this snapping flip thing where like the guy's head kind of turns all the way around and snaps his neck, but at the same time it flips the guy's body over, you know, with the bow kind of still attached to it. I don't really know how to explain it, but you know, so the guy goes over one of the parts of the cliff with the bow. Rambo rips off the arrow case, the arrow bag that's around his body, rips that off, throws it, jumps down into view, does like a roll, picking up a machine gun, and picking up a machine gun during the roll actually, and we're treated to more of that amazing Jerry Goldsmith score kicks in, you know, like da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, bam, bam, and then bam, he just starts shooting the shit out of everybody. Runs through all the fiery debris, shooting as he's running. You know, he runs out of bullets. He cold cocks one of the guys with the fucking butt of the gun. The guy spins around. As he's spinning, Rambo drops the gun and grabs his gun from around his back. You know, turns around, uses him as human shield. Another guy shooting, hitting the guy as a human shield. Rambo throws him away, using his gun, shoots the other guy, blows him away. It just sweeps the area. You know, he keeps on moving in fast and strong towards that goal, which is that hatch. You know, there's like another unexploded truck in front of him. Well, it's on fire, but it's not exploded. And he like slides over the hood. There's a guy behind the truck. He kicks him down in the chest. The guy, you know, goes back down on his back. Rambo lands on him and fucking blows his head off. Runs up the area to the hatch. Gets to the hatch. Sees that there's like not like chain link, but there's something blocking it from opening. Shoots that apart. Tosses the gun. And now for that cool part I was telling you about, reaches down and tries to open the hatch manually. Now the area is pretty much swept, you know, except for I think one guy who's off in the distance. Rambo's trying to open the hatch. You know, he gets his hands in there and he's trying to work it up and open, and it's like cutting his skin, and there's like spurts of blood coming up as he's trying to pull it up, you know. It really reminds me of Rambo 2 when he's got his hands on the barbed wire and he's pulling up the barbed wire fence to get Ko under the barbed wire. It really reminds me of that part. Then this the one remaining guy off in this distance starts shooting, and part of the shrapnel bounces off the whatchamacallit, the hatch, and skims Rambo across like the scar, you know, his scar from falling off the cliff, but it makes like an X scar, you know, so you got the old scar and then you got a new slash going the other way across it. Rambo, you know, quickly grabs that gun up again, shoots him, and let me tell you, he shoots him to that clip is empty. The clip is empty. He's still got his finger on the trigger. It's still going like chuck, 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 chuck. He throws the gun away, reaches down, starts pulling on that hatch to get it open, and it reminds me a lot of the scene in Rambo 3 when they're in the sewer and he's trying to pull the grate off to get out of the sewer. You know, like he uses the butt of his gun to clear away the rocks, and then he does that awesome thing where he's opening it up. But while doing that, while pulling up the hatch, and it's cutting into his skin, and we get that same kind of feel from the sewer scene in Rambo 3, it totally wins him when he finally gets the hatch open, to the point where he gets open but he drops it, it falls down a bit, and then he leans back on his broken ribs for a second. And while that happens, just after we've gotten this awesome, almost superhuman shot of Rambo, one of the bad guys opens the hatch and tries coming out of the hatch with a knife to kill Rambo. And they struggle, and Rambo, goes totally back into adrenaline mode again, and fucking, like, literally just takes the top of the hatch and just slams it down on the guy's back, slamming and slamming and slamming. The guy's hand gets caught in there, breaks his hand, mushes his hand up into the to the hatch opening. Also, while he's bringing it down, he ends up cracking the guy's skull and pretty much, turns the guy's skull into fucking paste, just smashing it. So now Rambo's got bits of brain and blood and everything all over him. He swings open the hatch, and then he kicks the remaining part of the hatch lid off the hinge. He kicks it off to ensure that if he has a way out if things go bad once he crawls inside. And just going back to that slamming scene with the lid on top of when he's slamming the guy. I guess what inspired that for me was watching Die Hard. When Bruce Willis is slamming the shit out of the guy in the door and just slamming him angrily. I kind of got that from there. Anyway, but it's not a door, it's a lid hatch. Anyway, Rambo crawls inside in the hatch and goes down inside. Kind of reminded me a bit of the shot where Rambo enters the tank at the end of Rambo 3 and he begins his descent. And we also have to keep in mind that this is like a different side of Rambo. He is older in it. Well, I guess older for when it would have came out, say if it was in the early 2000s or mid 2000s. He's a lot slower, because he's been out of practice, but it's also like his wounds have taken a toll on him, He can't use his arm too good because of what happened from cutting his arm in the tree in First Blood, and he can't run as fast because of he took that bullet at the end of Rambo 3 in the knee or in the leg. And if you go back in history to the book, when he was captured in Vietnam by the Viet Cong, the back of his knee was shot out. So he's a little bit battered, but it's still great Rambo. There's just something to say about the man that can endure and keep on pressing through the pain. And pretty much that's what this is about, because I would say that maybe like 70% of this, he's in dire pain. Like the opening of the movie, a lot of it, like I would say like the first act, or half of the first act is, like the terrorists opening up at the missile silo, getting there and taking it over and taking control of all the technology inside, and pretty much letting, sending via transmission screen to the UN that this isn't a negotiation, that it's not like they don't want any money. It's more like this is payback for I won't say for leaving them behind as POWs, but this is payback not only against military, but there's a little bit of a religious aspect in there, and more like they want to cleanse the earth pretty much. And they don't care if they die in the process. And we would eventually find out actually that Troutman was killed. Actually, they were looking for all the loose ends that had anything to do with their existence to take them out, which would mean Troutman and Rambo. So seeing how they couldn't find Rambo, Troutman covered up Rambo, and Troutman lost his life for it. like we don't see that take place in the movie, but it's brought up, you know. And you know, it's brought up actually to get Rambo in the process of going there, but they cover up a couple of things. You know, they cover up their own asses, and try to pretty much, Rambo's like the last hope. You know, like, this guy's fully expendable, so let's send him in there to do what he does best, because it's pretty much the best shot we have at saving the world, so to speak. So actually, the movie opens up with like a 2 or 3, I'd say maybe like a 4-minute intro. 3 minutes of it is the dream, and the last minute is of Rambo's reaction to the dream, which we will get into very soon. I know. I did an extended rewrite of it later on. Like, I came back to that material because I did have dreams about it later on, and I actually built more out of it, and you know, stored that away as well. You know, and it eventually would become my idea for not only Rambo 5, but a prequel to First Blood, and have everything tie together, and have everything, you know, it's just a new take on a classic story. So where was I? So it starts with, you know, the dream sequence, Rambo's reaction to the dream sequence, the title shot. Then we go into these people, the terrorists, taking over the silo. We get into all the crooks of the villainous plot, you know, the talks with the UN. And that's about 10-11 minutes in. And then we get Riggs going to Rambo and, you know, talking to Rambo. We catch up with Rambo's life. It's about, you know, a 5-10 minute montage, included with the whole speech and getting Rambo back in. And, you know, ending with Rambo just looking at photos of Troutman and mail stuff, and wanting to go to his burial site, but business comes first, right? Like, it's a whole sequence with, you know, Rambo checking the mail, how it comes about when Riggs shows up, and it just kind of, you know, Rambo's just learning about the death, and who should show up but the military to inform that there was a little bit more to it, but they're hiding something, and it's fueled Rambo's interest. There's no reluctance here. It's, you know, Rambo wants in. Pretty much. So that's about like the first 15-20 minutes of the movie. You know, then we're treated to a quick 10-minute montage of the briefing, cutting back from the briefing and the arrival to where they're setting up camp to send Rambo on this mission, tied in with, you know, him suiting up and prepping the weaponry for the mission, kind of thing. You know, when he's being deployed, they ask him, oh no, are you sure you're not going to bring this other weaponry with you, this new high-tech stuff, you know, like super explosives and stuff. And Rambo's just, you know, he's just like, he doesn't, you know, to them, they know that this is like, you know, the chances of this going over are really slim. Everyone's probably going to die anyway. So to Rambo, that kind of tips him off to knowing that something's amuck, and that he will once again be left behind and be expendable. And, you know, he pretty much tells them, are you guys stupid? Like, you're, you know, sending me in with all these high-tech explosive devices, and you're sending me into, in a sense, a giant atomic bomb, you know, with a whole bunch of explosives.